It's been quite a week. There have been moments when we've seen the very best of humanity, the huge generosity and grace of Captain Sir Tom. His really was a wonderful life. The flood of volunteers coming forward to help with the vaccinations programme. Simple acts of kindness, of thoughtfulness, of love. There's been so much that speaks of goodness. But at the same time, we've also seen something of the opposite. For all that we've been entertained by Handforth Parish Council, and no matter how much I admire Jackie Weaver, people should not be treated in the way that she and others were. The misogyny, the bullying, the spitefulness, it was awful. And then there was the racist and homophobic abuse of Gerald Robinson Brown. And just the general tone of so much discourse this week. It's been ugly, disrespectful, unloving. Are we good? Yeah. There are so many examples of our goodness. Are we not good? Sadly, that also seems to be true. We are good, we are not good, but we are also being redeemed. We are good. The writer of the book of Proverbs talks of God rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the human race. And the psalmist talks of God rejoicing in his works. This world is a great place. When God made it, when he made humanity, he said, good, it is good. The first chapter of the book of Genesis says that after every act of creation, God looked at what he had made and he saw that it was good. The word we translate as good is the Hebrew word tov. It's also synonymous with beauty. It's the word used to describe Rebecca's extraordinary loveliness. So God saw all that he'd made, and it was very beautiful. It was lovely. It was gorgeous. The world is beautiful. Humanity is beautiful. You are beautiful. As St. Paul wrote to the church at Ephesus, you're God's workmanship, or as one translation of the Bible puts it, you're God's work of art, a beautiful work of art. And there's so much in our world that reminds us of this beauty, of this goodness. Walking the dogs at dawn as the fields glisten like diamonds with the early morning frost and the sun begins to shine through the low-hanging mist. It's easy to see the beauty of God's creation, or listening to a wonderful piece of music, or viewing a stunning work of art. It's easy to see how we are part of that beauty, part of all that is good. And there is good in the actions of others too, in the care that is shown to many in need, the positivity that spurs us on. Sir Captain Tom said, negative thoughts don't seem to be part of me. I always think of the beneficial things. And of course there is the love that is expressed in many, many ways. This is a beautiful world, a world in which love is all around, a world that is good. But it's also a world that is not good. In writing his gospel, John talks about the darkness of the world. And he talks of Jesus saying he was in the world. And the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. It is extraordinary when you think about it. Through Jesus, everything was made. And yet humanity, the crown of that creation, failed to recognize its maker, and in fact, we despised him and beat him and eventually had him killed. And Jesus came to his own people, those people whose spiritual antenna should have been tuned in to the fact that the Messiah, God's own Son, was standing in their midst. And yet even they, even God's chosen people, failed to receive Jesus and became instrumental in his death. What is it about us that makes us reject Jesus rather than embrace him? 2 chapters on from the reading we heard from John's Gospel, and we have Jesus saying, this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. People loved darkness rather than light. We fail to recognize or receive Jesus because something in us loves darkness rather than light. Something in us causes us to reject Jesus rather than to receive him. You see, the world is good, and it is not good, but it is being redeemed. Our lives, the lives of others, and this world in which we live are being redeemed and will be redeemed. In his gospel, John talks about Jesus becoming flesh and living among us. That's the rescue mission. That's God diving into this good, bad world to redeem us, to bring us back to himself. In Jesus, God emptied himself, taking the form of a slave, being born in human likeness, and being found in human form, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. William Hubert Vanston was an extraordinary priest who devoted his life to ministering on housing estates. But his obituary said he left on the characters of those he influenced the impression that they were valued by a God who was prepared to suffer without limit. He wrote some of the most beautiful theology you'll ever come across, including in his classic book, Love's Endeavour, Love's Expense, this passage. He said, the activity of God in creation must be precarious. It must proceed by no assured program. Its progress, like every progress of love, must be an angular progress, in which each triumph contains a new potential of tragedy, and each tragedy may be redeemed into a wider triumph, in which, in the making of that which is truly an other, control is jeopardized, lost, and through activity yet more intense and vision yet more sublime, regained, in which the divine creativity ever extends and enlarges itself, and in which its endeavour is ever poised upon the brink of failure. The creation is safe, he said, not because it moves by program towards a predetermined goal, but because the same loving creativity is ever exercised upon it. That's what we're talking about. That is what redemption is all about. It's not the frustrated, repeated hitting of the delete button in the hope that God can erase all that is not good. It's not the angry chastisement of a wrathful God. No. It is about humble creativity. It's about intense and sublime activity. It's about love. In 2017, the film Wonder Woman told the story of Diana, who learns about the ongoing First World War and leaves her island home in order to end the conflict. In the climactic battle between Diana and Ares, the god of war, Ares tries to persuade Diana that the human race is evil and therefore undeserving of her protection. She responds saying, it's not about deserve, it's about what you believe. And I believe in love. And then she adds, and I know that only love can truly change the world. Whether it's the paralyzed man whose sins are forgiven, the 10 lepers who were healed, or lonely old Zacchaeus who has to set another place at the table, Jesus in his ministry appeared to be constantly giving and forgiving without any regard for merit. As far as he was concerned, it was never about deserve. It is about love, and only love can truly change the world. This is a good world. Humanity is good and loving and beautiful. And there are things that are not good, too many things. But God is in the business of redeeming this world, of redeeming our fallen humanity, his humble creativity, his intense and sublime activity, his love is at work in our world and is at work in each one of us. It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe. And Jesus believes in love and shows that love in this good, bad world. Take care of yourselves. Strive for the good. And God bless you. Amen.